Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifestor, and I'm sure you are too because you are consuming content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in the whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives we choose. I feel like the lighting is bad. Oh, that's better. But now the camera's off. Now, when you're fixing things, you got to make sure you're still smiling because then you look like you're crazy because you're so focused on something. Much better, much better. What I'm discussing in this video is your need to be valued and recognized by other people is truly holding you back. If you are a person that finds yourself in a space to where you're always thinking about other people accepting you, recognizing you, or seeing the value inside of you, it's truly holding you back from living the best version or the biggest version of who you are. What I find that when it comes to that mindset, it usually stems from something in our childhood where we were not seen, we were not recognized, we were not noticed for the things that we thought were important. We were kind of like put off into the background. And I can honestly say, if you're a person that's born anytime like 1980 or above, and it may not even have to do with dates, but I know that there was a time when children were less important than what they are now. Like what was it saying, seen and not heard? It's like you were perfectly okay with disappearing in the background. That's why sometimes we grow up and we think about all the times we heard adult gossip in conversations. It normally was because we were sitting around and they didn't even notice we were in the space anymore, right? My mom used to always tell this story about herself leaning on the door trying to listen to her grandmother, because she was raised by a grandmother, trying to listen to her grandmother's conversation. Listen to her grandmother's conversation and gossip, and how she would start speaking, and because she was Creole, she would start speaking in French to avoid my mom hearing her, and how she would fall asleep leaning on the door. But literally, that is how a lot of kids actually heard things or learned things, is by listening to adults, not having adults directly engage them and directly emotionally interact with them, right? And so when we think about, I'm sorry, somebody was calling me and they called me back to back and it kind of threw my mind off. That's why I always got to go to do not disturb, and I forgot. Yeah. So it stems from something related to childhood when it comes to the idea of being recognized or needing to be seen or needing to be heard in some kind of way. And so when we move throughout our lives, we might notice this in relationships when we're in connection with people. I've been around a lot of women for a lot of my life, maybe not so much as men, but definitely women. And they were big on being validated by men and being liked all the time by men. And that's not to say you don't want to be liked, or you don't want to be appreciated, you don't want to be treated well. But there's a different level that it moves into when you start to not even think about yourself and what's important to you, and you start to spend way more time on whether or not this person thinks that you cooked a good meal, or this person likes the dress you're wearing, these sort of things. And you'll hear a lot of conversations with women sometimes too about not being complimented. It's like they didn't even compliment me. Well, I've been in connections too with people like that who were trying to hold back recognition and compliments. But the difference is, when I was there with a lot of them, sometimes I didn't even really notice, because when I get dressed, I do my hair, makeup, and all this kind of stuff, I feel good and I look good. Whether or not you say it to me does not mean anything. And it took me a long time to catch on, because I'm more steeped into the things that I create in this life, like my projects, different successes, like what I bring to the world as far as the essence of me. So when I notice that's not being valued or recognized, that's when I notice, because it's like, telling me I'm cute, whatever. I already know that. I looked in the mirror. But it's like I'm not being recognized in something that's important to me, like writing or doing a project or creating videos on YouTube or something like that. That's when I notice. And I've even seen myself go down a rabbit hole with trying to figure out, why don't these people see my value? Why don't they see me being recognized? And what I noticed during those periods of times when those things were happening is it was taking away so much of my energy, so much of my power, so much of my ability to manifest and create by sitting there and getting caught up on whether or not someone was paying attention to me in a certain way. What I find that in life is you have to not be worried about whether or not people are noticing what you're doing, whether or not people are seeing what you're doing, especially when it comes to people that are close to you, people that are family members, when it comes to your children, when it comes to your parents and all those wonderful things. They're great people, but everybody's not for everything. And so when you want to see whether or not you're doing good work, or whether you're being recognized, or whether you're being valued in a certain sort of way, you have to learn how to start cultivating that for yourself. The desire to want that from other people will truly hold you back from experiencing the gloriousness or the greatness that you have within you. Because think about it like this. When you have these goals or these lofty ideas or these dreams, and I'm sure if you're watching content like this, you do have lofty dreams and goals, and you have desires and things that you want to see come to fruition, right? And they're coming. But when you have these things, they're huge. They're larger than life. They're big. You can't even see all the many ways that it's going to happen and how these things are going to play out in your life, right? And then you think about these little people that you might have in your life. They're right here. They don't see this for you. They see this version of you, the one that operates for them, the one that connects with them, the one that shows up for them and shares with them. They don't see this bigness that you want to bring into the space, right? That you want to be in the world. And so what you're trying to do is bust them out of this small container to see the bigger version, and you're wasting your time with it, because maybe that's all that version of you is with them in that area. If you can give them that space and time, if you have the ability to do that, then you can spread your wings and just do the great things and put yourself in the right positions and do the work that you believe is important. I've seen this in the workplace. Even with myself, I'm guilty of it. Being caught up on a person that's working right next to me and close to me, not acknowledging or recognizing the great work that I'm doing. Now I know it's just hating. But at the time I was like, well, maybe it's not good enough. Maybe I'm not that, blah, 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 blah. But then I had to step back and think, what is the overall big picture that you have for your life? What are the desires you have? And I'm like, okay, to be a best-selling author. Okay, to be a voice for people, to be able to have personal and professional development in many environments. Like, these are the things that I was seeing for myself on a larger scale. And I'm like, does this person even have the ability to see those kind of things for themselves? They can't. So me sitting there trying to get recognition and value through this little person that's sitting next to me, who's purposefully holding it back intentionally holding it back, is really wasting my life and wasting my life energy, when I should just be focused on the work. That's why when people talk about do the work, don't look up and look around and think about who's looking, who's applauding, who's telling me I'm doing great, who's telling me I'm so special and wonderful. That is not important. What's most important is honing the skills, doing the work, sharing the information, right? I don't get up on YouTube, and I do have my days where I do this, where I'm just like, should I even post these videos? Because this is not even getting many views. But I don't think like that anymore, because what I realized is that there was a time when my views were getting 10 views per video. And then there was a time when my videos were getting 20 views per video. Then there was a time when it was 50. And now it's between like 70 and 100 and something on most videos. And it's so easily how your mind can forget how far you've come and what you've come from and what you've created, because you're so focused on the people who are not watching it, the people who maybe are not valuing it, the people who aren't seeing you. But what you need to be focused on is the people who are tuning in, who are watching, who care, and who want the information, who are hungry for a more expansive and more fulfilling life. So when you have a strong need to be valued, when you're insecure in that area, when you have a strong need to be seen and recognized by others, you're truly holding back the biggest version of who you are. The version of you that is connected to source energy, the version of you that doesn't even need recognition from anybody in order to be great. The version of you that knows the truth, that knows the truth of the existence of your being. That is what you are holding back. So when we move that out of the way and we stop thinking so small as to think, this person doesn't appreciate me, this person doesn't recognize me, this person doesn't value me, and we start thinking on a larger scale, like, what do I want to bring to the world? Am I bringing that to the world? Am I giving my full self to the world? And if people choose not to see it, that is all on them. I'm always like, hey man, I'm dishing out all this beautiful light and all this beautiful love and all this beautiful abundance and all this beautiful freedom and peace and all these wonderful words and everything. But if you choose to hone in on some negative aspect of me, that is your choice. And that is the the place from which you are operating. When I know someone and I see that they are seeing only a negative version of me, or a version of me that they have a problem with or a bone to pick, I know that that says way more about them than it can ever say about me. Because I know what I'm giving out every day. I know how I'm showing up. I know how I'm sharing. I know how I'm being supportive to people and places and things that are important to me around me. So when someone is acting like I'm just doing negative, or I'm being this way, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, they're choosing to see that version, and they're choosing not to recognize the value. And do we have control over other people and what they think about us and what they got going on when it comes to us? No, we don't have control over that. So it's like I'm wasting my time and my life energy trying to fix someone else's perception of who I am, when I can be spending that time and energy on sharing my greatness and my value with the world, and waiting patiently and preparing for the people that are supposed to see it, the people that's supposed to value it, the relationships that are supposed to be in your life, the love connections that are supposed to see the full version of you, the friendships that are supposed to value the full version of you, the workspaces that are supposed to see the expansive version of you. I'm not going to sit here and waste my time thinking this little bitty mediocre person is not seeing it, right? It's holding me back. So if you have a deep-seated insecurity and need for recognition and to be valued by others, just know that it's not getting you what you want. It's holding you back from the biggest version of who you are. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.